Well, welcome back into the conservatory that we showed you a couple of weeks ago when we just done the majority of the restoration work on the woodwork and the shelving. And it's taking a lot longer to actually get this back in situ and all the geraniums back in on these shelves than we thought it was going to. The reason is what we're doing as we bring these out, they've been over summered in the patio area around the old swimming pool. And some of them are done very well, others haven't really appreciated being out in the colder air, particularly at night time, and the wet that they've had over this summer. Far happier in a little higher temperature in a less damp environment. But we've got a lot of flowers to deadhead, a lot of dead wood to cut out, and what we're doing and why it's taking a lot longer than we thought it was going to is that we are really tidying up these plants really quite drastically and giving them a really good cutback. And we hope that that's going to benefit. And these have been in now, the top row about a week and the bottom row a couple of days, some of them. We've tidied them up, given them a feed, watered them when they've come in, and they really are coming back into a heavy flower, which is wonderful. But it's taking time, and what we are also doing is putting a lot less in here. We're concentrating on these 6-inch terracotta pots, and in the spacing and arrangements that we're going to do in here, we're trying to give them some space so that they get some air. I think that's going to improve the plant growth and health, particularly over the winter months when they tend to get a little bit of mouldy rot on them. And by cleaning up all the dead material on the surface of the compost and giving them some space, they'll hopefully get a lot less of that. I'm going to try and arrange them in colour sequence as well, which will be interesting. I don't know how many of each we've got. I've still got to attach these support stands that were bespoke made for this conservatory. I don't know when we inherited these, when we bought the house 10 years ago. But they've painted up really nicely, but we had to take them apart on this corner because that's a separate unit. The corner on the front is a separate unit, and this back unit is separate. And then there are these cross members that are nailed in, and we've just got to play around with the spacing on that to get them right. But the variety I'm putting on the back wall, and I've grown it here for 5 or 6 years, is this variety sold in the UK as Shocking Orange. We've got quite a few of these. It propagates up really beautifully. It's a nice short growth. Now, the importance of that in geraniums is some of these can have a tendency to get extremely leggy when they're grown in warm conditions. This one stays compact, flowers beautifully, never gets any taller than that, to be fair. And by cutting these regularly and pruning them back, it does take a good haircut and tolerates that without dieback or rot. Shoots again from buds around the leaf growths and gives a lovely heavy display of these bright orangey red. If I just compare that for you with the other classic variety we grow here, which is this deep red crimson variety. It's looking a little sort of cerise in that colour really, but don't know whether that's just a trick of the light on the camera, but this is a beautiful, rich red. And again, the thing I like about this variety, and I'm not certain on the name of it, is its compact growth habit, and it flowers profusely throughout the summer months. As soon as you start getting a decent amount of light and a bit of warmth, this one comes into bud and flowers right the way through until the temperature and light conditions drop. And then in the middle, I'm going to try and get a full row of this ivy leaf trailing geranium on the top. It's a really pretty little thing close up. Not as great a habit as the others. This is quite tricky to grow. It's really best grown as a bedding plant in tubs, really, outside as part of an annual planting. That's what it's really sold and designed for. We've got it over at the Norfolk Broads cottage, and it's really flowered profusely. These ones have been in semi-shade for most of the summer, and they're looking a little leggy and a little sad. So I'm hoping by bringing these in and giving them a boost with a tomato feed, I can get all those buds which are starting to form to really give a much brighter show. And then over on this area, I'm going to bring all my pinks. At the moment, I've still got all my restoration bits and bobs here. I haven't quite finished. There's still a few jobs to do on this woodwork, but we're gradually just starting to ease some in. At the moment, I've got this rather nice dark mauvey crimson don't know how to describe that colour really, isn't it gorgeous? Pelargonium, this one, scented leaves, more compact habit, but again, flowering later in the season beautifully this year. It's really, if anything, benefited from being outside. These usually just give me a flush of flower first thing in the season, and then I get very little, just sporadic flowers from them, as opposed to the geraniums that give me all season growth. So that's where we're at with the conservatory. My job over the next coming weeks is to gradually recover all these plants that have been outside, bring them over here, tidy them up before I bring them in, then give them a good feed and water, and we'll show you our progress as it happens over the next coming weeks here.